Where are we talking about this this whistleblowing bill? What else do you need to do to get the National Assembly to up the game because of the importance of these? I want you to talk on this. Then the other thing I want you to also talk on is plea bargain. Could it also be a good way? Because sometimes if you consider the costs of prosecuting and trying to uncover some of these assets that are stashed out is huge. Could plea bargain also be a good way to reduce the cost on government and also get some of these assets?
You see, I support plea bargain. I support it. Any easier way for government to get some of these assets is plea bargain is practiced all over the world. But it depends on how it is negotiated. Okay. That is the most important thing. You don't do, for example, you do plea bargain with a man who stole 10 billion and you leave 8 billion or 6 billion with the man. That's not a plea bargain. At all. So the plea bargain has to have a content. It has to have a framework. It has to be transparent and accountable to the people of Nigeria. That's what we are saying. So plea bargain is a good thing. And just to also encourage the members of the National Assembly. I don't see any reason why the National Assembly should delay for a second. Because the whistleblowing bill is a good tool to help strengthen the governance system in this country. It will help us. And you know, one of the reasons I try to appeal to the elite in the country is that, look, even if you have all the wealth in this country in your name, you see, the wealth will not go beyond your generation. Because even it goes, when the whole entire country is in a mess, your wealth is in a mess. But if the country infrastructure, we invest this money in the infrastructure, the good road, good school, you find out that you don't really need this money. You don't. Because it is in our common interest to make this country a place to live. And when we make this place a place to live, a good road, good health facility, you don't need to steal this money. You don't need to have all these assets. You don't need it. But our politically exposed persons, our political elite, their mindset, their culture, it is something that is unacceptable. And that is why we are encouraging that there should be a kind of a culture that will encourage our people to blow whistle. But the problem we have had in the country is that the government policy around whistleblowing has not been very encouraging. But we're raising an awareness that government should put in a framework. And that's exactly what the best practice is, according to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. This is the global anti-corruption framework, which Nigeria have also signed on to. In this convention, Chapter 5 of it, which is the fundamental principle of this convention, speaks to the issue of asset restitution. Because the most important, the incentive for people to steal is to acquire asset. That's the incentive. And the ability to cover it up. And that's why we are also appealing to the Corporate Affairs Commission to up their game on issue of beneficial ownership, disclosure. Because when people know who the owner of the asset is, it's easier for EFCC and ICPC to work on them. And then you talk about the non-prosecution approach of tackling corruption. You don't, because the criminal approach of tackling corruption is cumbersome. And that's where the whole plea bargain comes in. But the non-prosecution approach is that, look, the burden shifts to whoever that is alleged to have committed a crime. If you say you are the owner of TVC, you have to tell us what kind of business you are involved in that makes you to have TVC. Or you lay claim to a property in Abuja. Or so the burden for you, you prove it. But you know, in criminal approach, the prosecutor have to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt. And that is a bit challenging. And that's why in tackling grand corruption and state capture, state capture is a form of corruption that is very deadly. You can see how it has impacted negatively the South Africa economy. When a few group of elite in a country capture the economy of a state, then it's dangerous. And that's why we are very encouraged by the liberal opening up of the market in Nigeria today. You can see what Dangote and NNPC fighting, the price is crashing because the market has been opened and there will be no opportunity for dirty business. And that's the same thing we are encouraging this government, incentivize the fight against corruption. Because corruption is, both those who are corrupt are affected by the corruption. Because when a child goes to the hospital and he dies, it might be part of your family. And then sometimes these politicians, they go by the road and they have an accident and they die. You see, so we can all be victim of this dangerous way of running the country. And that's why we are advocating that let's put the laws in place, let's put the necessary framework in place to make our country great again, particularly against the background when the Trump of this world are going back on foreign aid to our country. You can see now the British government have now aligned. They have now moved their overseas development assistance from 0.5 to 0.3. And the US government have now almost closing down USAID that have been supporting anti-corruption and overseas development assistance across African countries. But what lessons should we draw from this? We should look inward. We should build our country. We should strengthen our country. And the key challenge, and this is the real key problem in the country today, is corruption. And most troubling on this is that the US recently have almost now scrapped the Foreign Corrupt Practice Act. And this is one tool that has helped fight corruption globally. Globally, because now they're trying to open up that foreign companies can come to Nigeria and bribe. No problem again. Whereas, you know, before the OECD Anti-Bribery Convention came into existence, it was tax deductible. If you are a company from Germany, you come to Nigeria and bribe government official in Nigeria, you can go back to Germany and get the money back. Until the OECD came into existence and forbid bribery of government officials. And that's why it is forbidden for any multinational oil company or any multinational foreign company to come and bribe any government officials in Nigeria, because they will be prosecuted by their own country. Because our own anti-corruption institutions here are a bit not having the much capacity and skill, or political will is not behind them to be able to prosecute some of these foreign companies.